Hey guys, so this is going to be an InfraWorks video on the model builder and then export to Revit. So there's a couple ways that we can do that and we'll take a look at it. The model builder within InfraWorks is way easy. It's a really easy tool. There is a lot of functionality within the tool, so I don't want to oversimplify it, but it is initially creating that model is really easy. So kind of give you an idea of the workflow. InfraWorks to 3ds Max. Now we don't ever actually open it in AutoCAD, but what we'll do is, because InfraWorks dumps it out as an FBX that we import as 3ds Max, we dump that out as a DWG, and that's what we'll link into Revit. That's kind of the workflow. We don't actually open up AutoCAD, that's why it's not here. The other process is InfraWorks to FBX into Navisworks, and then from there it's just a coordination model in Revit. And then there we have NWCs and NWDs that we can use, not NWFs. So this is kind of the tool. So here we have our created models that we can open, and then up here we have the model creator or model builder. Here's an example of one of the models created in InfraWorks. This is kind of the interface. Over here it's kind of cut off, but those are some of the tools and whatnot. We have different options up here. The settings, which is where we'll go to export. Up here is different view types. And in here we can set up different proposals. So if we start moving things around, we can actually set up a variety of proposals. The rotation, or the view cube, and then some other options. Oh wait, those aren't options. My bad. That's PowerPoint's options. Some other options up here. So a little bit on the export. So we'll come up here to the settings, and then what we'll do is we'll export a 3D model that will export out a FBX. And you can kind of see that down here. Now we have a few options in here. We can do a define, so we can define how much we want to export. What I do is usually the entire model, so I'll check this box, use entire model. That'll it'll unshow all the information that was in here if you don't have that checked. Down here I don't really mess with this. I don't mess much with coordinates and stuff. I would imagine at some point I'll dive a little bit deeper into that, and at that point we can talk about it. And then here I just leave the origin to extend, and then target files. I'll do a single file. Multiple files is pretty handy as well, because we can export out the ground and buildings separately, which is pretty handy when you just want to bring in the buildings into the Revit model. Down here I'll do the materials. Merge objects with the same texture, and I don't check large FBX. I just leave that unchecked, and then I press export. And then what we'll do is we'll import it into 3ds Max. For the most part, I just leave all this stuff checked on. I just leave it as its default. I do come down here and uncheck like animations, which there shouldn't be any, and some of that stuff. And then when we export to AutoCAD, I just more or less leave it as its default. Up here you can change it to a different AutoCAD version if you like, and then some of the other options as well. So what we'll do is we'll just close this and we'll take a look. So I'll jump into InfraWorks and we'll take a look at the model builder. And then let's just zoom in to some random area. We'll go to St. Louis because that's where I recently moved from. And we'll just zoom in down here. We'll see if we can grab the arch. And what we'll do is we'll just go down here and select an entire area. Or wait, we'll switch it to this so that we can select it. My bad. When it's set to here, it actually takes the whole frame, but if you come in here, you can select specific frames. So if we come in here, we can select this. And then what I can do is we'll just say test model. And we'll just create it. And then that's it. And then what it's going to do is it's going to prepare the model. And then it'll send us an email notifying us that it has been created. I'm going to close that. And now we just wait, and what will happen is it'll pop up right here in the test, or the, not test one, but it'll pop up here with the model name and then a bit of the background. It may not come in with the background because it may generate that. I could be wrong, I can't remember. But it'll pop up here as soon as it's done. So what I'll do is I'll pause this video, and then when it pops up, I'll start it back up. Alright, so test model, it's showed up. So what we'll do is we'll open it, and it'll say, where would you like to store this? I'm going to say local. And now it's going to open the model. It's going to download it. And then when it's done downloading, we'll be able to view our model. I may have to pause this because I'm not entirely sure how long it'll take. Hopefully it won't take too long. Alright, so the model's open. You can kind of see it now. So there's Busch Stadium. And then over here, you can see this huge building is the arch. So as you can see, sometimes it doesn't bring in the elements correct. Something I like to do is jump into Google Maps. And then in there, I can kind of get an idea of the buildings themselves and what's going on. So the shape of that building and whatnot, you can see that it saw the arch. Instead of putting that there, it put a huge building. I've seen another example where it was a pyramid type building, and it just put a huge square extrusion there instead of the building itself. So I just come out here and kind of verify what the building actually looks like to see how accurate the InfraWorks model is. But you can see now it's created. We can start manipulating things and whatnot. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at actually exporting this. So up here, we'll click the settings button. We'll go to export 3D model. We'll do entire model. We'll come down here, make sure it's single, and then all the other settings are good to go. We'll export. I'm going to say cancel to that. I want to make sure that I dump this in the correct spot, and then you guys can have this model as well. So I'm going to name this sample model. I'm going to go back and make sure I pick that name up. And then you guys will have access to this model when it's created. Okay. I'm going to export. I'm going to say replace. And now it's going to export out that FBX. And what's really cool too is you can see these this bridge over here, and it brings in that information. So you can do quite a bit with this software. It's really cool. I'm going to go ahead and pause this because I'm not sure how long this is going to take. Alright, so it was exported, so we'll minimize this. And we'll take a look at the coordination option within Revit first. So we'll jump into Revit. I'm going to close the models I have open already. And then I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to do open. And then I'm going to do a new empty file. So I'll go to new. And I'll say none for the template. And then for the coordination, button within Revit. It'll be in Insert, and then you can see Coordination Model right here. And then what we'll do is we'll add. And then first, before we actually add it, I want to go in here, append that newly exported FBX. I'll go in here, do Control C, Control V. I'll grab this FBX. I'm going to delete this NWC I already have here. I'm going to grab this FBX. I'm going to do Open. And then hopefully, and this is pretty quick, but again, I might have to pause it. Navisworks is pretty quick though. And I said that too soon, so I'm going to pause it. So now in Navisworks, we have that FBX. You can see the materials are there, that whole model's here, and it's good to go. So what we'll do is we'll just make sure that NWC is there in that folder. Should have automatically created that. We can see that new NWC. We'll minimize this. Go back into Revit 2018. We will Control paste that file path. Grab the NWC. Now keep this in mind. The only things that you can import as a coordination model is NWCs and NWDs. NWFs are essentially just hosting models. They don't really have anything in them except for settings and stuff like that. I'm going to press open. You can see there too that NWC is 97 kilobytes. So kind of a big model, not too big. Let's look at the FBX. So the FBX itself is 136 kilobytes, so somewhere around 130 or 40 megabytes. So it's imported. What we'll do is we'll just press OK. And then now if we go to a 3D view, we should be able to see this. And it looks like it's there. So there it is. Visually you can see it's not that great, but that's a coordination model for you. You only have a few options for editing them. I think it's just a transparency. If we go to visibility graphics by pressing VV, you can go to coordination models. You can override the transparency, and that's about it, really. If you drop this down, you don't really have any options. So, but it's in the model, and you're good to go to use it. You know, you can use it to start modeling stuff from or whatnot. I'm going to exit out of this, and what we'll do, or actually what I'm going to do is go back to that coordination button. I'm going to go to here, and I'm just going to say unload. Press OK. And then what we'll do, take a look at is opening up that FBX with 3ds Max, and we'll jump that to a DWG. Now what we'll need to do is import it, so we'll go down here to import, click import, and then we'll browse out to that same location. I'll do Control V to paste that path, grab that FBX, press open. It'll give us these options. I just make sure that some of that stuff's unchecked. For the most part, just leave it as its default. I'll press OK. It imports that FBX model. And this may or may not take a while. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this again. So I apologize for that. Alright, so it's there. It went a little bit quicker than I thought. You can see, for the most part, the materials are there. It looks pretty good. So what we'll do from here is we'll go up to File. Then we'll go to Export, and then we'll again browse out to that location, and then we'll drop this down and change it to a DWG. We'll give it some name. I think it was Model Sample. Oh crap. Oops, I pressed Enter. So it's Model Sample, but that'll be fine. I'm going to pause this because it may take a while to export out that DWG. Alright, so it's exported, so we'll jump back into Revit 2018, and then we'll go to Link CAD. Make sure I have that path copied. You can see that new sample model. So I got it switched around, so it's sample model, not model sample. It's fine. Click that, and I'm just going to leave. I'm going to turn that off and leave everything else the same. I'm going to press open, and then I'm going to pause this one more time. Hey guys, so it took a lot longer to import that than I thought, so I ended up canceling it. Lesson learned, don't, first of all, just try to avoid CAD files in general, but for this workflow, it may be something you have to work with, so just scale them down maybe into sections and then bring them in, different areas or whatever. Maybe name the DWGs area 1 or whatever site location if it's a specific building or something, and then import them that way. Also, when you're in InfraWorks and you're going to export out the model, make sure to check multiple files, and then that way it creates the building file and then site file separately, and then you can import those in separately into Revit. So here's the model itself. You can see it's an AutoCAD file. We can rotate around it. It's still 3D. If we grab it, we can go, or actually, if we do visibility graphics, just VV, we can go over to import to categories. You can see I tried to mess with it here. I'm going to clear those overrides. If we go to layer 0, we can come in here, override this, press OK, OK. And we can see we can overwrite these a little bit to get some different visual effects. So keep that in mind when you're working with these buildings. You could also do some editing within the DWG as well. Maybe adding different layers and stuff like that and associating with specific buildings that you'll be working with so that you can overwrite those with different colors. It all depends on your workflow, but if anything, it's there so you can model masses or the buildings in place, whatever works for you. But that's the process for bringing in the model from InfraWorks, either through it as a coordination model or as a CAD file. So let me know if you have any comments, questions. Let me know if I missed anything or if you know of a better way. And thanks a lot for watching.